Hello, welcome back to Talk Radio, Talk TV. I'm Danielle Nichols. This is Andre Walker, and we're here with you on your Saturday night takeaway. Well, while you, I got that wrong for the first time. While you eat your Saturday night takeaway, this is your Saturday night talk.
I knew you
cursed me.
It wrong.
You cursed me because you say that right every time,
In
and
the
I think
end, you get it wrong.
Me. You jinxed me.
Okay. ULEZ is coming in. Sadiq Khan has been significantly criticised. It's coming to a town near you, I have to say. People think it's just London, but where my family are from, it's on the border between Cheshire, Greater Manchester and Merseyside. So to get to the nearest train station, we'd have to pay £12 to leave the zone, £12 to enter a new zone, and so on. So that's what, £25, £24 just to go the 2 miles to the local train station.
This is a tax on the poorest among us, and everybody knows it's true. That's why people have had enough. We've had enough.
OK, so Prabhdeep Singh is a ULEZ hunger striker. Now, Prabhdeep, are you still hunger striking?
No, it was last week.
You don't look very emaciated.
No.
You look super smart, though. We've got some chocolate tea cakes if you'd like one. Now you can eat them.
Have it later on.
Oh, he's like me.
Okay, so look. Let's talk first of all. We can talk about the hunger strike in a moment. It's not something I particularly approve of, by the way, but I do approve of your protest against ULEZ in general. So you are a taxi driver from Reading. Why would you care about ULEZ?
Well, actually, as you said that I'm the private hire driver, so I normally come to the Heathrow quite often.
Right.
And whenever I come now, I'll be badly hit, so I have to pay £12.50.
Oh, so yeah, you will have a lot of business with people going to Heathrow Airport, obviously, because as we all know, the trains don't run like the 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and so you've got no choice but to get a taxi at that time.
Well, actually, it's funny, just to be a complete geek, because I live on that side of Heathrow. Heathrow is very easy to get to from London. It's not very easy to get from the west, actually. So if you're in the Readings of this world, what you have to do is sort of get to, I think it's get to Southall and change trains. So it's easier to get there by taxi, without a doubt.
Yeah. And also, as you said, that hunger strike, it was just a symbolic approach. It was a predefined 7-day protest where I symbolically tried to tell the people this is how our future is going to be like if we don't fight back. So this was not like the hunger strike where I haven't defined that I'll go, for
because I must admit, when I read about it, I mean, I wasn't sure about having you on just purely because, not because of the sentiment, but because obviously a hunger strike is an incredibly irresponsible thing to do. And I think that I suppose if it was a 7-day protest, that does put a different complexion on it. So look, how many of your colleagues, private hire drivers, how many of them are going to be hit by this, and what problems do you think it's going to cause economically?
Well, if I just look at my company I'm working for, they have to sell around, the 10 vehicles not compliant to the ULEZ. They are quite good vehicles. They have to sell away. So a lot of people, it's not, as you said before, that it's not only for the London. All the UK is going to be affected with that, because whenever you're going to come to Heathrow, you'll be affected.
And of course, the other problem that you've got with these ULEZ is there's already one in Glasgow. They've built the infrastructure for Leeds. I think Bradford has it already. Manchester is in abeyance.
Is suspended at the moment.
Well, Angela Rayner made a statement, didn't she, not 3 or 4 weeks ago, where she said if they get elected, then they intend, the Labour Party, to roll out ULEZ, pay per mile, across the entire country. Keir Starmer had to roll back on that, but Angela Rayner's pretty famous for kind of speaking her mind, so I suspect it really is policy.
But here's the problem that you've got. Not only do you have to pay different price in different places, and you have to, obviously, if you're going to leave Merseyside and enter Greater Manchester, you have to pay to enter Greater Manchester and then to enter Merseyside to come back, if you see what I mean.
Right.
But the other problem is every single scheme has a different set of criteria for the vehicles. Ergo, what happens is you've got a vehicle that's compliant in one place, it might not be compliant in another. And the case of where my family live, which is, for those of you that know, is near Haydock Racecourse, it may well be that a compliant vehicle in Greater Manchester, i.e. Goulburn, is not compliant in Haydock, which is Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand a party that's for the working man who penalises the working man. I can't get my head around that. I know we've all got to do our bit for the environment. I'm absolutely on board with that.
Hang on that point. And, of course, the tyrant that is Sadiq Khan is not here to defend himself. So if he was here, he'd be saying, of course, that it's all of these car journeys in and out of London that are, inverted commas, killing thousands of children on an annual basis, which, of course, we know is absolutely 100% categorically not true.
And let me just explain that. Or Russell, do you want to do it? Either of us can. But the reality is, what they've done is they've had a theory about how much your life is shortened by pollution, and they've multiplied that out as if it was individually killing people. One person in London, I think, in the past 10 years, has been killed by pollution, and it was a girl who had severe asthma, who, in truth, should not have been living in London.
Only one
she should have been moved out.
Death certificate in London actually has bad air quality.
So one person
as the cause of death. One person.
Yeah.
So when he says,
and also the fact is, of course, that the air quality in London since the 1950s has improved dramatically.
Yes, it has.
On top of that, cars actually, of course, have become more and more efficient over the last 2, 3, 4 decades. The worst culprit for bad air, inverted commas, in London, of course, is houses, because they're kicking out carbon monoxide and all sorts of stuff from boilers, and industry. And, of course, the worst air quality in London is, guess where? In the tube. And Sadiq Khan, of course, who runs the tube. Well, he's not doing anything about that.
Here's the thing that worries me about all of this, right? So you're out of London, you're in Reading, but most people are going to have experience with this, which is, and certainly we do from where we're originally from, this whole idea of don't worry, you can get public transport is fine if you live in Westminster and you're going to Mayfair. It's rather harder if you want to go from Swinton to Doncaster.
It's not rather harder, it's near impossible.
It's near impossible.
At one point, to be able to get to a shopping centre near us called the Trafford Centre, you had to get a bus from, and believe me, the two towns are next to each other, Swinton and Eccles sit next to each other. You had to get a bus into Manchester and then back out to Eccles. Now, they've changed that. There's one bus now that runs to the Trafford Centre.
What do you say to a builder that's got a van full of tools that he has to cart into London to do a job?
This is
What's he supposed to do? Buy a trolley and get down the
Let's give... Prabhdeep has not had an opportunity to say anything sometimes.
What I feel, it's simply a tax on the poor people.
Yes.
And they are trying to fleece us very badly. That's the reason I stood up. And it was just an awareness campaign, just to tell the people we have to fight back. Otherwise, they will keep coming for you. And as far as the statics we just discussed are concerned by Mr. Khan, he already been challenged on when he said that the 9 out of the 10 cars are compliant. It is not true.
It's not true. And you're right, exactly, with the private hire. The truth is that cost will be passed on to the customer.
Of course, well, it would have to be. There's no other option.
You lose 6 cars, you will have to put that cost on.
And if 9 out of 10 cars were compliant, why bring in the ULEZ tax in the first place?
That's the point. If the 9 out of 10 are already compliant, only the 10% left behind.
Give it a couple of years. Give it a couple of years. There won't be any.
He is lying. Yes,
he's lying. No. But there won't be any cars that are past that date eventually, because they tend not to run that well.
What worries me, and I'm sorry to keep going on about my dad, but my dad, you know, he's in his 70s now. He's at the stage, and I don't mean to be crass, he'll be watching, where you know, there's a decision to be made whether to bother buying a new car or not. I hope he lives till 100,000 years old, but that's not realistic. And so it's people like that who are suddenly then forced to stay in their homes. You know, elderly people can't visit their grandchildren. You know, poorer people can't get out and about.
How can you say to fix a problem, what the solution is to fine people? How can that be the solution to the problem?
Well,
it's just never. All it says is if you're rich enough, you can pay it.
When I worked in local government, we didn't fine people for not recycling. We gave them vouchers if they did.
But Prabhdeep's point, your point about it hitting the poorest most, whether it be taxi drivers, whether it be, you know, those struggling to have to come into work into London, or people that already live in London that have to get, you know, kids to school and get to work and so on. That's the point. How on earth can a Labour mayor be penalising and chastising the poorest in society?
Oh, listen to this. I love this. Chris in Newbury said Sadiq Khan is starving children by forcing their parents into poverty by owning an old car. What's wrong with the hunger strike to fight child poverty and children starving? Stop being a liberal wuss, Andre.
Well, we know about the 300 ULEZ cameras that are damaged or stolen.
Now, let me just say one thing about, first of all, ULEZ cameras should not be damaged or stolen.
No.
We don't condone criminality. By the way, it's not a crime to fail to report it if you see it being done by someone else.
All I want to say, when on the cameras bit you mentioned, well, the people, they just want to live a happy life. They don't want to go out and climb up to the pole and remove the camera. They are being forced to do it.
And have you seen where some of these cameras are going? They're going in cul-de-sacs. So if you go off your driveway, technically, you've got to pay £12.50.
And it is a breach of people's privacy as well. It's just going right in front of their houses, and this is not
and we
something...
talk about democracy, of course. Sadiq Khan, did the right thing as he has to do in local government, which is to go out to a consultation to ask people whether they want this. And apparently something like 80% of people said no. And he ignored
Why does it still happen?
And he ignored it because it's only a consultation.
That's what's happening in Manchester. Everyone said no, and so it got suspended.
That was the second reason I went on a hunger strike, because we are, especially this Labour mayor is killing the democracy. He's just going on one-way traffic. He's not listening to the people at all.
But we got to leave it there, Prabhdeep Singh. You know what?
Thank you very much.
Do you know what? I think I've got time for you. I think I've got time for you now.
Definitely, Prabhdeep. Thank you so much for coming out.
And maybe I was a liberal wuss. Okay, what's coming up next, Danielle?
We've got loads more. We'll be talking, obviously, more about the Graham Linehan.
Graham Linehan.
Yeah, we'll be standing up for Graham Linehan and saying why he shouldn't be cancelled. All that and more. And you can get in touch with the show on 0344 499 1000. Calls just charged at your normal rate, or you can text the word talk plus your message to 87222. We're going to be talking, of course, Graham Linehan. On this show, we are going to be saying to you why absolutely he should not be cancelled. I know, and we've also got, you'll like this, we've got a cuddle therapist coming up. This is right up my street. This is the only place to be on a Saturday night.